delighted to welcome you again to the gallery. And we're so pleased this month to have a little exhibition here of Alexandra Cook's work. Alexandra Cook is here. Alexandra, would you like to come on stage? Alexandra's a sort of old friend of the gallery because we used to run some years ago on Thursdays this thing called Atelier Day, and we invited other artists to come and join us, and we'd spend a bit of time during the day together on projects if we could. Never took off, but Alexandra was one of the few people who came, and she came 2 or 3 times, didn't you?
Yeah, and enjoyed it enormously.
It was lovely to make your friendship then and see the quality of your work. So I'm delighted that she's come here with a group of paintings to show us what she does. But Alexandra is not only interesting because she's a fine artist, but because she's also from Moscow. She has a Russian background, and I'm hoping, when I introduce her now, that she'll say a word or two about her work, and maybe she will say a few words about her background and how it's come that you've ended up here in Wales, living in Wales. So could you?
Well, long story, but yeah, I was born in Moscow, and I was drawing since I remember myself, and also was interested in sciences. And finally I chose to go into geography and planetary science, where I studied and worked for a few years in Moscow. And during that work I met Tony, who is my husband. We worked together for a few years. But then when we married and had kids, and I was at home for a while, and I came back to painting. And for a few years I wasn't quite sure what to do with my art, but at the moment I feel like I'm sort of on a spiral going a bit back to my roots. I grew up reading lots of science fiction and also interested in science, and so a lot of it starting to come back in my paintings again now, and elements of other planets or future, and lots of changes in life, and it's all obviously affected what I do. And I grew up in Moscow, but well, some of my first impressions was actually paintings of French impressionists, and which I've seen in galleries, and also if you know Nikolai,
yes,
famous Russian painter, and so that's where I am on the present stage. I live here in Wales, in Newtown, but also visiting Russia quite often, and still have connection. And, yeah.
You named the exhibition
It's not just exhibition, it's a project I'm working on at the moment. This Russian word Vopreki, which means despite, and the project I called it VopreKin, sort of VopreKin, which, well, it may seem that there are lots of things going wrong in the world. In Russia, and not just in Russia, but I'm sort of optimist, and because I study science, I study philosophy, I think that humanity does move forward, and despite all what may appear wrong, if we stick to reason, to science, don't give way to unreasonable emotions and superstitions, I think we will get here and build a better future.
Yeah. I see. Well, it's great to have something so optimistic. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to have exhibition. I'm really delighted, and I love that here.
Good. Thank you. So now you know who she is. If you want to talk to her about the work, you know who to.
Yeah.
There will be other things in the gallery, of course, as the season goes by. Every month we have things planned. I want to, while I have this opportunity, I want to introduce you to Karen. Karen do you want to come up here? Karen?
Not really.
No.
I'll take it.
She'll stay there. She's been incredibly helpful to the gallery. She's a very efficient secretary, and she's the lady
I
who's
really don't like being called.
created our website. She's created our very good website, and she keeps in touch with the artists as the exhibition goes on. And she's agreed to tell us a little bit about our programme for the rest of the year.
Okay, so every month we're having these sort of preview evenings, and then they start the first Monday of the month, and then there's the exhibition for that month. So the next month is a lady called Mary Blindflowers, and that is at the same time there's an exhibition by Sonia Benskin-Mesher, who a lot of you probably already know. Sonia's work is very small. It's going to probably be in just the two glass cabinets, so that's easy to go alongside. All I know about Mary Blindfellow's that I can remember, because I didn't have any warning, is that her pictures are very colourful, very flamboyant would be a good way to describe it, yes. And she's Italian, but she's an author as well, and she does these pictures for the covers of her books. So that's the next one. And then the one after that is Glyn Baines, who probably quite a few of you know, who's the
Gold medal winner for the Stedford about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, and his work has been at the MoMA Museum in Machynlleth, and he does collages, painted paper that then is ripped and collaged. So that's what we've got at the moment, and we've got an open call for the next set, so from September onwards. We did offer someone else an exhibition, that's why we've got this extra slot, and they didn't contact us. No, so we don't know what happened there, so that's why we've got a September slot, and then we're advertising into the new year. And then there's supposed to be there probably will be some talks in the summer, but we haven't finalised those yet, so if you have a look on the website. I tried to send out an email, I don't know whether people get it, but I send out an email sort of once a month to the people who've put their email addresses in the visitors book. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Now, we've been having these monthly raffles. I call it the rent raffle because it helps to pay the rent each month. And there's a box, you've probably all seen it now, which was to do with the raffle that we had last week. That raffle we're going to open and choose a winner in about half an hour. The other box is for this month's raffle. So if you're interested in winning any of those paintings, hello, you can put it in that. I've been given an announcement to make for the Tywin District Historical Society. A new society has formed, and they're having a meeting on May the 1st.
Tomorrow night.
Dr. Marion Wood Gwynn is giving a talk on sugar and slavery, Penrhyn Castle and Jamaica. It's very appropriate with the Windrush scandal. That's on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in the back room of the Baptist Church Tower, and we'll put this notice up by the door so you'll see it if you'd like to go to that. I think that covers everything. I'm very grateful to all our musicians. They're all familiar faces. We meet each week here in the hall, and we'll be playing in the hall, I think, as it gets warmer. So if you're a musician and you'd like to join us, or you'd like to come on further occasions on other Mondays, then you're very welcome, either to play with us or to just listen. So in half an hour we'll have that, and we'll have a bit of music in between. So thank you for your attention. Thank you.